Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Lori Hale. So, back on June 12th, the Lord spoke of a revolution that has begun here in America. He then gave me a word which primarily focused on a remnant that He is raising up in this hour, which He likened to the Minutemen of the Revolutionary War. Now, just to be clear, the Lord is not referring to Minutemen in the literal sense, but is drawing a comparison to give us a broader understanding about the meaning of His words. Quite honestly, not being a history buff, I remembered very little about who the Minutemen actually were. So after the Lord had finished speaking, I did a little research, and this is a small bit of information that I found. First, the term Minutemen was used to describe a small group of elite forces who were selected from the militia by their commanding officers to serve in that specialized role. Those selected were committed and zealous for the cause. The Minutemen were sent in first to the battlefield because they were entrusted with developing the strategies to prepare the local militia for the enemy's advance. Another characteristic of the Minutemen was that they were ready to fight in a moment's notice. And I heard, instant in season. The Lord then referenced 2 Timothy 4:2, which instructs us to be ready at all times to advance the kingdom's cause. This is what I heard. The revolution has begun, yet the battlefront does not look as expected. For this uprising is not being fought with the usual armaments of war. Nor is this field of combat being waged upon the assumed terrain. Even still is a revolution unfolding upon America's shores. Then, like Minutemen of old, have I called forth a remnant of elite warriors, those whose gait is marked with valor and strength. For they walk in a confidence that cannot be shaken, as it is not derived from their own sense of importance. It is from Christ alone that their assurance abounds, as they know that it is in Him alone that their worth is found. And so it is the best interests of my kingdom that these warriors seek to advance. For they deem it a high honor to serve at my behest, and as such do they regard their own lives as forfeit. As it is my higher calling upon their lives that these warriors count as holding much more significance than any earthly endeavor. Then the goal of these warriors is not to achieve for themselves any form of popularity or fame, for surely have they assumed a posture of genuine humility. Thus is their greatest desire to see my name glorified above all else, for true is their devotion to me. So though throughout my ranks have many already defected and joined with the enemy's forces, for those soldiers were indeed deceived by the fear of tomorrow. It is, however, this remnant of valiant warriors that has refused to abandon their posts. For they are convinced that I am still enthroned as conquering king, and that there exists no one greater than me. So then from out of obscurity has this remnant emerged, though their appearance has not yet been fully detected by the masses. For I have intentionally kept their presence cloaked so as to divert the enemy's attention away from their position, while I readied them for the battle at hand. Thus across this nation are these Minutemen-like warriors beginning to appear, as the days of training and preparation have now been completed. Ah, then shall the enemy suddenly bolster his forces to counter the resistance coming from this remnant, as these warriors are not the kind to be easily intimidated by his rants, nor will they back down because of his threats. Then in the days ahead shall the true revolution become very apparent, as the enemy ramps up his evil campaign, to not only reclaim the ground he recently lost, but through its recapture does he plan to seize greater authority over this nation. However, equipped with new battle strategies, those that were imparted directly from the war room of heaven, shall this remnant of warriors step forth, for they have been entrusted to be carriers of these divine operational plans and standards. For surely through these warriors am I releasing fresh tactics for defeating the enemy, as those strategies now being employed will not have the same impact as before. For indeed are the enemy's lines about to shift. Then shall I greatly magnify the voices of these warriors, so that their influence amongst my body knows a steady rate of increase. For in this hour have I come to bring much needed change throughout the church in America, as a large portion of my soldiers have grown complacent, and thus are ineffective in combating the enemy, which is the reason he encountered little resistance upon launching his recent assault on this nation. Hear me then, you remnant of valiant warriors, you who have been waiting to be released into your calling. That time has arrived, so do not hesitate to step out, for I shall keep you hidden no longer. Therefore, permission has been granted to advance, and so lay hold of that vision which you were given, and prepare to see its full manifestation. For surely shall your faithful obedience to me be rewarded. Then do I say, arise and go forth, for that long-awaited day of release is upon you. Again do I say, arise and go forth, for the revolution has begun, and you are needed upon the field of battle, as the enemy is determined to recoup the terrain he previously lost, one way or another. As such, he is planning to launch a more aggressive assault, one that is specifically aimed at those soft targets along the battlefront that have been virtually left unattended by the lines of my soldiers. Don your battle garb then, and grab your sword, for indeed has the revolution begun. Thanks again for joining me today.